I wanted to make a video about leveling from 1 to 10, some of the stuff that we can do to speed up the process, to improve the process, what you should be focusing on, so on and so forth. Real quick, I am doing this live. It's the last day of the pre-order beta, so I kind of have to do this way now because I can't get footage tomorrow or the next day, so bear with me. Now, if you played pre-order beta, one of the first things I want you to do, if not the first thing I want you to do, is open up your EQL directory. Inside the actual EQL folder, I want you to go to the user data folder, and inside here, you're gonna see these lf.ini files. And these lf.ini files have your character name, and it has your server name on it. I want you to go ahead and just delete these bad boys. And by deleting them, you're deleting your loot filters that you have established in game. And the reason why is if you have a pre-established loot filter, while some of the stuff, most of the stuff, may be totally fine. If you've been max level for a while, you're probably auto-selling your cloth, your rawhide, a lot of that crap you collect in those first 10 levels. You've been auto-selling them for any amount of time at this point. So you want to make sure you can loot and equip early gear like that and benefit from it instead of auto-selling it to a vendor. Now, when it comes to actually making my character, even though my main at this point is going to be a monk, paladin, enchanter, I'm going to start as a monk mage. That mage carries hard early on. Now, if you start as a mage, I'm an XR, so I can't start as a mage. You actually get 20 malachite right out of the gate. So I don't get to benefit from that because XRs can't be mages, but you have a level 5 nuke that is incredible. Your level 6 pet actually, the pet you can summon at 6 is actually level 9, so it's amazing. So I'm just looking for a way to quickly and easily push from 1 to 10 with as little friction and as little time as possible. I will say some people prefer Beast Lord over Mage. The Mage does have the Mage pet, I should say, has a reagent. The Beast Lord pet does not. It's just something you summon. As long as you have the mana, you can summon it. So with all that being said, let's jump into the game and let's talk about what to do the moment you start making your character. All right, so when you log in for the first time, it's probably gonna look something like this. We will address the UI and settings and all that fun stuff here in a moment, but I actually want you to do a couple of specific things before we do that. First thing, you're just gonna run straight ahead here to Dear Old Doug, and you're gonna turn in, and this is found in your inventory, the letter for Doug to Doug. And stick with me, there's a reason why we're doing it in this order. So turn in the letter, you'll get a whopping 4% experience for doing that. And then we will immediately come over here to Meek's Depot, and we're gonna talk to Dagina in here, and we're going to buy this package for old Doug. It's free, you don't need any money. After talking to Dagina, you're gonna make your way outside of Meek's Depot, and you're gonna climb these stairs. And up here to the left is the little graveyard with dead Doug, and there are 2 fragile pet skeletons and 3 rambunctious pet skeletons. Go ahead and kill all 5 of them. While you're in combat, again, even though the UI is a mess, you have no idea what's going on, you can go ahead and drop into a stance if you are a melee class, warrior, monk, rogue, etc. I'm just going to drop into offensive stance real quick. You can see I have a couple of spells here mimed, so if I wanted to, I could cast my Burst of Flame and blow it up here, but you make very quick work out of these skeletons. Now here in the advanced loot window, you'll see that you have 5 skulls to loot. You can go ahead and just loot all of them. Don't forget, if you right click the name of an NPC, that's where the auto loot, merge, store, and sell comes into play. I'm just going to select auto loot for the time being, and now they're all in my inventory. You're going to turn around and go ahead and trade 1 rambunctious skull and 1 fragile skull, the old dead Doug here, and he's going to give you a pair of boots. And do that again. And now you have 2 pairs of boots, and you're going to drop these boots into your feet and your any slots. Any slots are exactly what they say. You can put basically anything into there and you benefit from the stats, but there's more to it than that. We're just keeping it simple for the time being. All right, skeletons are dead. One of the things you can actually do while you're waiting for them to respawn before we get into the settings and options is we are going to cast this summon dagger spell 4 times. The reason why we're doing this is you're going to summon 4 daggers with I believe it's a 0.143 ratio. Yes, you can see right down there. And what you can wind up doing is you can put 2 of these daggers in your pet window. And that's right, you don't have to trade pets gear. You're going to put it into your pet's inventory right like this. And then similarly, you are going to equip yourself with these 0.143 ratio daggers. That way you have a primary and a secondary weapon for your, in this case, in my case, a monk mage. Your mileage may vary based on your setup. Don't forget, you can swap to mage at any point in time as a secondary or tertiary character to do something like this, but because I already have mine locked in, it's just ready to go right out of the gate. Now, if you play the pre-order beta, one of the easiest and fastest ways to get your UI set up, you're going to type /copy, just like that, and it's going to pull up a window just like this. You can see that I have a bunch of options because I played a bunch of characters on the pre-order beta. I'm just going to pick the one character I played on Neriak. I think that's the most recent one I played, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go ahead and load it up. And you can see here, my UI is basically exactly how I want it. However, let's say you did not play the pre-order beta. You're going to go into /load. I highly recommend that you use the default modern UI. There's a lot of reasons why, some of which I will show you. So I'm going to go ahead and load the default modern UI, and then I'll show you how to kind of set things up, move things around, and so on and so forth. I'm going to go through this really quick. I already have my UI set up, so I'm not going to take time to show you every little thing here. I actually have a couple of videos on my YouTube channel that you can go to look at UI tips and tricks and just generic tips and tricks for all sorts of things in this game. But since the inventory window is already open, I'm going to right click the edge of the frame here. And I personally like the legacy layout, so I'm going to swap back to that. I know that I like having my character panel, character window, whatever this is called, right around this location. So now I'm going to right click that. I like having my mana tick timer, my attack timer, all that fun stuff as is. I like having my target bar more or less mirrored on the other side. This right here is actually my spell bar. I've resized it. I like mine to be horizontal. If you right click it and go to display types, you can show it in a variety of different ways. Essentially, you're just going to get the UI set up exactly how you like, how you prefer. In this chat box here, don't forget that you have different chat tabs here. That way you can filter things as you see fit, specific melee messages, tells, I mean, whatever you want. Hotbars are definitely something else you want to take a moment to set up. Don't forget, if you right click the edge of the hotbar, you can open up a new hotbar and get those set up as you see fit. But essentially, don't be afraid to right click various elements of your UI. You can do a lot of stuff with this default modern version of the UI. There's a lot to dig into and a lot to enjoy. Now that we're in the options window, let's talk about a couple of really important options real quick. Something like feign death toggle for monks. This allows you to press feign death to feign and also to stand up. Persistent auto attack is great because if you're pulling 2, 3, 4 mobs and you turn auto attack on, when your target dies, your auto attack is kept on, and then you're just going to start swinging on the next thing you target. This use implied healing is nice. It's going to heal the target of your target, usually you or a friend that you're grouped with, or a pet. I definitely recommend you dig into the key bindings here. That's in the options, controls, key bindings section. For me, I like setting up some stuff to my mouse. As you can see, auto run, jump. This is something that I personally like to do in a lot of video games, but you'll see that I have my inventory bags, my bank bags, and my inventory window all set up to Shift C. That way, when I press Shift C, it opens it all up at the same time, because oftentimes I'm digging into a bag to put on or take off gear or something to that effect. Here in the camera and mouse section, I highly recommend that you make sure that your mouse look and your left click pan are set up, because if you don't, then left clicking will not allow you to move the camera around. You can still right click and move your character, but if you don't have these enabled, then you cannot just use your left click to look around you. And then in the interface nameplates, you can fiddle with your nameplates, the size, the draw distance. With combat text, you can turn floating combat text on and off, as you can see here. And you can determine with the velocity, the angle. And then here in system, in the accessibility area, you can actually determine how large or how small you want your pet to be, which is pretty cool. So as referenced a minute ago, a lot of these guys are going to be respawning. So let's take a moment and let's clear through them again. You'll see I just hit level 2. Those guys were giving, I think, 11% experience at level 1. And now they're going to be giving far less, of course. Yeah, now they're only worth 1.5%. Now, I just did level 2 as a mage, so I cannot sit here and summon this water pet because I didn't start as a mage monk. I'm a monk mage, so I do not have the malachite to summon him. However, because I'm killing these skeletons, I am gaining silver and copper to buy malachite when I get to New Seb. We're going to go ahead and trade Dead Doug a couple more skulls. I'm going to go ahead and put the 3rd pair of boots in my other any slot. And now, with this 4th pair of boots, I can can either merge them to level them up, or I can put them in my pet window so my pet has a pair. It doesn't matter which way you go because we're probably going to get one more round of boots while we finish up our settings. So we'll go ahead and park here again. And now I want you to open up your action window. Action window is opened by pressing the L key on your keyboard. And what you're doing here is you're taking a moment to look through your actions. Right now I'm in the abilities tab, just to understand what you have access to and what you should be using. As a monk, I have mend, so I like to put mend on my hotbar, of course. A lot of people like to put things like forage and tracking on multiple buttons on their hotbar, and then they actually put the same keybind on multiple buttons here. You can see on mine, I have my boots that I just got because the boots that Dead Doug gave us have a little movement speed buff. But you can see on this hotbar, there's one button bound to W, but I could just as easily put my forage hotkey on that W. And now anytime I press W every 60 seconds or so, it will try to forage. However, more than that, you can make a forage macro, as I've discussed on the channel before. But not only are you foraging, you are putting whatever you forage automatically into your inventory as well. But getting back to abilities, this is where you can also pull out your invocations and your stances to put them on a hotbar if you wanted to. But one of the things you definitely do not want to forget about is auto skilling. You can see here in the column auto skill, you want to auto skill some of your abilities, your backstabs, your kicks, your strikes, and so on and so forth. Depending upon your combo, look and see what you can auto skill. And I would highly recommend you probably want to auto skill basically everything, smite, reave, you name it. One quick thing as a monk, make sure that every 5 or so levels, you're checking your abilities and you're turning on your new kicks like round kick and then eventually flying kick, your new strikes like eagle strike, tail rake, I think is what it's called. You get the idea. If you are a rogue and a couple of other classes, you'll have disciplines you can look at. Rogues have poisons in this discipline window. Your spells can be found here. While you can also find spells in your spell book, the spell book is antiquated and a mess. Don't touch it. Access your spells here. You can see what category they are, what subcategory they are, and so on and so forth. You can also see which spells you do not have scribed at the moment, which is really, really helpful. You can sort and organize these by level. It's really nice. Rituals are a big thing. Druids, wizards, and some casters have rituals for ports, bind affinity, gate. It's very helpful because as you get your druid and your wizard and other classes leveled up, you can access things like those self ports, even when you aren't a druid or a wizard. And you already saw me dig into macros a moment ago. I have my forage macro that I've made and a few others, but I have a separate macro video on my channel as well. You can go look at that if you want more macros. I also have a spreadsheet that I'm calling the EQL Compendium. The link for that can be found in the YouTube description below. So make sure you go there. You can find more macros, more info, a written leveling guide, all sorts of fun stuff. One of the most important things I want you to do right now is open up your map. I believe the default keybind is M. You're going to right click the edge of the map here. Make sure that your NPCs and ring are enabled here at the very bottom after right-clicking the edge of your map. By doing this, even if you don't have tracking, like Monk and Mage, I don't have tracking, I can see within a certain amount of distance, which is showcased by this green ring around me, I can see NPCs in my area, like this Dead Doug NPC and the 2 fragile pet NPCs. This makes locating mobs really neat and really quick and really convenient with or without tracking. As of right now, we don't know if the EQL default maps will be in at launch. This is still about a week out from launch when I'm recording this. Hopefully they are. If they're not, you can go download rules, you can go download goods. Those are definitely good maps to have, and I would recommend having something, but hopefully the default maps will be in soon. Anyway, we've covered a lot of options, a lot of stuff. I think I've done 3 rounds of kills on these NPCs. I now have, more than enough skulls to get multiple pairs of boots, and there's no reason to continue killing these guys. They do not give you hardly any experience whatsoever, and you certainly don't need more copies of these boots at the road. So I'll go ahead and merge these real quick just to get a couple of +1s, and then it's time to move on. I guess it's worth mentioning real quick, if we look at this UI element, if you click on this 0 and you go to create instance, you'll notice that, again, as of right now in the pre-order beta, the last day of pre-order beta, I currently have 0 charges, which means that I cannot spin up a personal instance of the Fallen, East Freeport, North Row, or anything like that. As the Knicks are, those are the areas that I start around. So I could sit here and continue killing skeletons. They each give about 1.5% experience, and they each drop a skull, and more skulls equal more boots, and so on and so forth. I personally don't recommend doing that. I find that to be a little bit of a waste of time. I say get out there, go mingle, go have some fun, go race for some mobs, maybe group up with some people, go enjoy the game. You will have plenty of time to spin up your personal instances if charges are not made available to us from the get-go when the game launches. Again, at least a week from when I'm recording this right now. I know I've covered a lot. We're going to go ahead and leave this area. We're going to run in this cave real quick. We have those supplies we bought for Doug earlier. Just run into this this cave, run up here. You're gonna go ahead and give these supplies, and then we're out of here, baby. All right, go ahead and give your package for old Doug here to old Doug. At this point in time, we have turned in the letter to Doug. We have killed a bunch of skeletons. We've gotten a bunch of pairs of boots, blah, blah, blah. We can actually go ahead and origin here. You'll see it's not a very long cast. My origin point is already in New Seb. So instead of running all the way across this area, talking to Doug, clicking his options a few times, just go ahead and origin and boom, we are ready to go. Now, as a monk mage, I know I need some malachite. So I'm gonna come talk to old Clock Coglin here, the adventuring supplies and parcels vendor, and I'm gonna look for my malachite. Now these cost 6 silver each. I've got 17. So I can buy 3 and then I'm ready to move on. Now, I gotta be careful. I can only summon a pet so many times, so we want to try our best not to let our pet die. Before you leave this area, make sure that you have turned in your guild note. I'm a monk, so I'm going to go ahead and turn mine into old Master Zlog here and get my big bad bracers. I'll put those on. I'm ready to hit the road, baby. I should mention real quick, let me turn around. As far as we know, while it's not accessible right now in the pre-order beta, there will be a new area available to Ixar players, or I guess anyone who wants to run here, once the game launches. Behind this table is an area where there's a bunch of NPCs. If I sneak over here, don't tell anyone, and I look through the wall, you can see some of them right here. A decaying skeleton, a spiderling. There's quite a few NPCs out here. We counted them earlier. There's around 30 to 40 NPCs, like a newbie starting area, a little newbie stomping ground. So you can come here if you want to. I'm actually going to zone out because I want to go to the Freeport starting area, and I'll tell you why here in a minute. Or I guess I should say it's just another option, because don't forget, even if you don't have those charges, you can jump between picks, same button, and you can see that there are 5 difficulties here, 0 through 4. And so you'll see people in all of these difficulties leveling up whenever the game launches. And don't forget, if a pick gets full, a new pick will spin up. That way you don't have 1,000 people crammed into each difficulty level. You don't have to worry about it. That's not a big deal. You'll get new picks spinning up every time a pick approaches its maximum capacity of players. So all of that being said, you can stay in New Seb if you want to. There are skeletons there. I'm going to the East Freeport, newbie area because there's skeletons there. It depends on where you want to go, how busy it's going to be, and so on and so on. The reason why I referenced skeletons a moment ago, some people like to go to the East Freeport area where there are skeletons, and you have an easy time if you swap it to a +4 difficulty, killing them and getting rusty weapons, getting cloth gear. I'll show you here in a second. All right, I just zoned into East Freeport. I'm going to pick, I can't spin up an instance, I don't have a charge, but I'm going to pick to this level 4. We're going to swap over. And once I'm here in a +4, you will see that there are various NPCs here, like these skeletons that are known to drop rusty weapons. I got to tell you right now though, man, beware of monks. Right now on the beta, if you try to fight a monk, you're gonna die. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a moment. You'll see that right now I'm on a +4. This is not that difficult. It's not that big of a deal. As long as you don't overpull, and as long as you don't have to deal with KOS mobs like this Centurion too often. Oh, this guy's healing himself. Look out, look out. All right, this one didn't drop a rusty weapon, but you can see here I got a cloth choker +4. That's 5 AC, so we can go ahead and loot that and equip it. But you get the idea. I can spend a few minutes here killing a bunch of skeletons, might get a level or 2, but essentially you can spend your time while you're waiting for your first charge doing something like this. Oh, here we go. We got ourselves a little rusty scimitar. I can't wear it as a monk mage, but you can see it has a wild and crazy ratio of 0.2. And that was extremely easy and straightforward. Not difficult, not very dangerous. So this is just one option that you have made available to you while you're waiting for that charge to come off cooldown. Once that first hour has passed, assuming we don't have a charge from the get-go, and that's the assumption we're working under, you could easily be level 3, 4, 5 and ready to go straight to Crushbone, Fallen, whatever zone you want to go to, depending upon where you are in the world. I want to showcase how ridiculous monks can be. This guy's level 2, the same level that I am. Let's see how much damage he does to me right out of the gate. Hold on. Oh, first hit brings me down to 55 HP. Oh no, I almost died. Well, I almost died fighting that guy. I think I got down to 14% HP. So my advice is avoid monks at all costs. Almost died. Ultimately, the point of doing something like this is not to get fully geared and you're ready to go. I mean, you can stay here until you have full cloth gear and, rusty weapons and so on and so forth, but it's just a good use of time while we're waiting for those instance charges, or rather your first one. All right, I've zoned back in the north row. I have a couple of more tips and tricks for you, and then we are all done here. So what I want you to do is I actually want you to either type /pick, or again, click this button and go to pick difficulty. And I just want you to pick any random one and then select it. Essentially what you're doing is you're using that pick feature, a system in game, to cover a vast distance in a very short amount of time. I was here at the East Freeport zone line, and now you can see I'm here in the tunnel leading to EC. And it took me a fraction of the time because it teleported me across the zone. Now, once you're in EC, if for some reason you want to bind your soul, you're going to book it to that Soulbinder right there in front of me. Also a couple of vendors here you can talk to, like the Shady Shwashbuckler. But once you make your way to the Soulbinder, he can bind you to this location. Once you hail him, you can just click on bind your soul, and then you are bound to this location. So if you die, you can respawn here. I'm on my way to Befallen. In fact, we can use that pick zone trick again to teleport completely across EC. So now you can see here I'm right at the zone line for Western Commonlands. And this makes getting from North Row to Befallen extremely quick and easy. Now I'm only level 2 on this character. I don't necessarily recommend you go to Befallen at level 2. You can if you want to, but I will likely be either level 3 or 4 before I go. But that Soulbinder's back there if you want it. There are Soulbinders in other locations as well. I prefer to bind myself in Befallen. Now what happens if I die in Befallen before I bind my soul? Nothing. You respawn at the zone line of Befallen, so you don't need to be bound there if you die. The purpose of binding in Befallen, for example, is when I origin out to go buy more spells, I can gate my way back in without having to run or pick my way across zones again. And speaking of bind and gate and all that fun stuff, I jumped on a different character here to showcase this. Keep in mind that once you're level 10, this guy just hit 11 earlier today. If you go to your loadouts and you edit your loadout and you change your secondary and your tertiary to, let's say, a bard and a beast lord, just take one moment to do this. At least do it with a couple of specific classes, because by swapping your secondary and your tertiary like that, and you saw how quick and easy that was, what you're doing is every time you swap at level 10 or up to level 20, you're being auto-granted certain spells. And clerics get that bind affinity ritual that I had referenced earlier in the video. So at level 10, you can bind yourself inside of Befallen, you can gate back if you don't have a class that has gate, and you're set. We have talked about a lot in this video, and I can guarantee you I have forgotten just as much stuff as I've referenced. If you have any more tips and tricks for people leveling from 1 to 10, and you want to help people save time, and you want to make sure people are having fun day one of the launch of this game, leave it in the comments below. My name's Brutal. I stream on Twitch and YouTube regularly. In fact, I made this video live on Twitch and YouTube, and you do not want to see the outtakes, I assure you. Wherever and whenever this video finds you, I hope that you have had a great time leading up to the launch of the game. I hope you either have a great time or had a great time when this game launched. And ultimately, man, we're all just here to have fun. So come hang out on Twitch and on YouTube. I will see you guys in the next one. You also have the old Shady Shwashbuckler.